It was a quiet morning in Louisville, Kentucky, when news broke that sent shockwaves across the aviation world. A UPS cargo plane, one of the company's massive MD-11 aircraft, had gone down near Louisville International Airport, leaving investigators scrambling and the city shaken. The story quickly gained traction nationwide, not only because of the tragic loss, but also because of what it could mean for aviation safety and cargo operations across the United States. As the day unfolded, the mayor of Louisville stepped forward to provide new information, shedding light on what really happened and what the city was doing in response to the unfolding crisis. When the first reports came in, they were confusing and chaotic. Early dispatches from emergency responders spoke of a large fireball, heavy smoke, and debris scattered near a wooded area not far from the airport. The aircraft, according to preliminary data, had been on its final approach when it suddenly lost control and crashed. The impact was devastating. Witnesses from nearby neighborhoods said they heard a loud explosion that shook windows and rattled doors. Some described seeing the aircraft trailing smoke before it disappeared behind the tree line. Others said they noticed one of the engines seemed to be missing or on fire before impact. Within minutes, emergency vehicles from the airport, city fire departments, and Kentucky State Police rushed to the scene. The blaze was intense, fueled by jet fuel and the cargo the aircraft was carrying. Firefighters worked through thick smoke and heat to contain the fire and secure the crash site. UPS confirmed that it was one of its own aircraft, operating as a routine cargo flight inbound from a distribution hub. The company released a brief statement expressing deep sorrow and promising to assist authorities in every way possible. The Louisville mayor, who had been alerted soon after the crash, quickly convened a press briefing at City Hall. Flanked by the fire chief, police chief, and representatives from the National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB), the mayor's face showed the weight of the tragedy. "This is a dark day for our city," he said solemnly. "We mourn the loss of life and the destruction caused by this accident. Our thoughts are with the families of those on board and with our first responders who are on the scene." He confirmed that the UPS flight had gone down just short of the runway, and early information indicated a possible mechanical failure. But it was his later update that drew national attention. As the investigation progressed over the following days, the NTSB began to piece together the final moments of the flight. Data from air traffic control communications revealed that the crew had reported an issue with the aircraft's number 2 engine shortly before the crash. The MD-11, a powerful tri-jet designed for long-haul cargo and passenger operations, had a history of being challenging to handle under certain flight conditions. Pilots familiar with the model described it as an aircraft that demanded precision, especially during landing. The flight crew had been experienced, with thousands of combined flight hours, and were following standard procedures when the incident occurred. The black boxes, both the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder, were recovered from the wreckage. Analysts immediately began working to extract data that might explain what went wrong. In his next update, the Louisville mayor provided new details that were both startling and sobering. Preliminary findings suggest that one of the aircraft's engines may have detached mid-flight, he said. This is an extremely rare occurrence and is now the central focus of the investigation. His statement confirmed what several eyewitnesses had already reported, that an engine was seen falling away from the aircraft before it struck the ground. The news raised critical questions about maintenance, inspection, and design. How could an engine separate from a modern aircraft in flight? UPS, known for its rigorous maintenance standards, immediately launched an internal review. The mayor emphasized that there was no indication of foul play or terrorism, quelling rumors that had begun circulating online. He also reassured residents that the debris field had been secured and that environmental teams were monitoring air and soil conditions due to the spilled jet fuel. Investigators from the NTSB, Federal Aviation Administration (FAA), and Boeing, the manufacturer of the MD-11, began a meticulous process of reconstruction. Each fragment of the plane was cataloged and laid out in a hangar for analysis. The missing engine was found nearly a mile away from the main impact site, partially buried in a field. Its pylon, the structure that connects the engine to the wing, showed signs of catastrophic structural failure. Metallurgical tests were ordered to determine whether fatigue, corrosion, or overstress caused the separation. The mayor, in his next press appearance, said, "The discovery of the engine and its condition has given investigators vital clues. We now know the separation was not due to an explosion or external impact, but likely a mechanical failure." Families of the crew members were briefed privately. UPS representatives met them personally, offering condolences and assistance. The mayor also announced plans for a citywide moment of silence to honor the victims. Flags were lowered to half, massed across Louisville. Vigils were held near the airport, where employees and residents gathered to light candles and leave flowers. The tragedy had touched not only those directly involved, but also the broader community, many of whom had friends or family working for UPS, one of the city's largest employers. As days turned into weeks, the investigation's technical findings started to emerge. The NTSB released a preliminary report that seemed to align with the mayor's earlier statements. According to flight data, the right-hand engine experienced abnormal vibration moments before detaching. The cockpit voice recorder captured the pilots discussing a possible engine warning. Seconds later, the recording ended abruptly. Engineers examining the engine mount discovered signs of metal fatigue that may have gone undetected during previous inspections. The mayor called a press conference to share what he described as critical new information for the public's understanding of what happened. Standing before a room packed with journalists, he said, "The evidence so far suggests that the failure originated within the pylon structure. This type of failure is exceedingly rare but not unprecedented. The NTSB is working with Boeing and UPS to identify whether this was an isolated incident, if there could be broader implications for other aircraft in service." His words carried the tone of transparency and reassurance. He explained that the city was cooperating fully with federal agencies and that the airport's operations remained safe. Cargo and passenger flights continued, but with increased inspection requirements. Behind the scenes, the emotional toll on the Louisville community was immense. The crash site, though cleared of debris, remained a haunting reminder. Residents nearby reported being unable to sleep due to the noise of emergency crews and the memories of that morning. The mayor ordered a long-term recovery plan that included mental health counseling for affected families and first responders. He personally visited the site, speaking with firefighters who had battled the flames. These men and women displayed courage under unimaginable conditions. He said, "They deserve our deepest gratitude." Meanwhile, discussions within the aviation industry intensified. Experts revisited the MD-11's track record. Though the aircraft had an overall solid safety record, several past incidents involving landing stability and structural stress had been documented. The Louisville crash reignited debate over whether aging cargo aircraft should undergo more rigorous structural inspections. The mayor's office worked with Kentucky's congressional delegation to push for updated safety legislation, ensuring that lessons learned from the tragedy would lead to tangible changes. Public trust in UPS, however, remained strong. The company's swift response, transparency, and commitment to the investigation were widely praised. UPS CEO issued a heartfelt statement acknowledging the bravery of the crew and pledging to implement any recommendations that came from the investigation. "Our commitment to safety is absolute," he said. "We will learn from this, and we will honor those we lost by ensuring this never happens again." The mayor echoed those sentiments, saying, "Louisville stands with UPS. This city's identity is intertwined with the aviation industry, and together we will rise from this tragedy stronger than before." Months later, the final NTSB report was released. The findings confirmed that a fatigue crack in the engine pylon had gone undetected due to limitations in existing inspection techniques. Over time, The crack expanded until the structure could no longer bear the stress of flight. When the engine separated, it damaged critical flight control systems, making recovery impossible. The report concluded that while the crew followed all procedures correctly, the structural failure was catastrophic and unavoidable. The mayor held a final press conference to summarize the findings and reflect on the broader meaning of the disaster. "We now have answers," he said. "And though they bring little comfort to those who grieve, they offer clarity. This was not human error. It was a mechanical failure rooted in unseen fatigue, a reminder of the importance of constant vigilance in aviation safety." He went on to announce that the city, in partnership with UPS, would establish an annual aviation safety symposium in Louisville to honor the memory of the victims and to foster innovation in aircraft maintenance and design. The initiative aimed to bring together engineers, pilots, regulators, and manufacturers to prevent future tragedies. "From heartbreak comes purpose," the mayor said. "Louisville will lead the way in ensuring that every flight that takes off from our city is as safe as it can possibly be." In the months that followed, the city began to heal. The crash site was transformed into a small memorial park, featuring a monument engraved with the names of the crew members lost. Families visited regularly, leaving flowers and notes. The mayor often stopped by quietly, without cameras, to pay his respects. His leadership during the crisis had earned him widespread respect. Residents praised his honesty, compassion, and commitment to keeping the public informed. The national media also noted how his updates, particularly the revelation about the engine detachment, shaped the public's understanding of the tragedy and the technical lessons learned. UPS implemented sweeping changes across its fleet. The company introduced new ultrasonic inspection protocols for all MD-11 aircraft and began accelerating plans to replace older jets with newer models. The FAA also updated its regulations, mandating enhanced checks on engine pylons for all tri-jet aircraft operating in the United States. These actions, though spurred by tragedy, represented meaningful progress in aviation safety. Looking back, the UPS plane crash in Louisville stands as both a heartbreaking loss and a pivotal moment of reform. The mayor's new information about the cause not only clarified what had gone wrong, but also underscored how fragile and complex aviation systems are. Every bolt, every weld, every inspection matters. The story of that day is a reminder of how cities unite in the face of loss, how leadership under pressure can provide stability, and how transparency can build trust even amid tragedy. The legacy of the event continues to resonate in Louisville. Aviation students study the case as an example of crisis management and technical investigation. The annual symposium, founded in honor of the victims, has become a respected platform where industry leaders discuss safety innovations. The mayor, now often invited to speak at national conferences, reflects on the lessons he learned, that in moments of disaster, clarity and compassion are as vital as technical precision. The hardest part, he once said in an interview, was facing the families. "There are no words that can ease that kind of pain, but the least we can do is ensure that their loved ones didn't die in vain." As the sun sets over Louisville International Airport, the roar of cargo planes continues, a sound that once brought sorrow but now symbolizes resilience. The crash that once cast a shadow over the city has become a chapter in its story of endurance and progress. The mayor's revelations, though painful, sparked changes that will safeguard countless flights in the years to come. And in the end, that is the truest measure of recovery, transforming loss into learning and grief into the resolve to build a safer future for all who take to the skies.